Hello and welcome to Mad About Superheroes Cartoon Showcase. Today we're going to revisit one of my favorite episodes of the classic Hanna-Barbera Super Friends cartoon series, more specifically, The Fear. The Batman-centric episode was written by Alan Burnett, who went on to write episodes of the revered Batman the Animated Series. Burnett also wrote other personal favorite Superpowers episodes, Seeds of Doom, which was Cyborg's first appearance in animation, and The Death of Superman, which predates the 90s Death of Superman in the DC Comics. The Fear episode aired during the final season of the long-running Super Friends cartoon series. The final season underwent yet another title change from Legendary Superpowers to Galactic Guardian Superpowers Team. Alan Burnett repurposed an unproduced script he wrote for a Batman solo pilot into the Superpowers episode The Fear.
One of the stories is called The Fear, and that actually began as a pilot for Batman, a whole separate series.
Give it up, Scarecrow. You're coming with...
Fear was really important because it addressed the core of who Batman is for the first time.
Mommy! Daddy! No!
It's very apparent from the lack of the other Superpowers members in the episode that it was a repurposed script. Other than Batman, only Robin and Wonder Woman are prominent in the episode. Burnett's involvement with the Super Friends series and writing the Fear episode is a bit of foreshadowing to his involvement with Batman the Animated Series in the early 90s. The episode and the final season of the Super Friends was an attempt to take the series in a slightly more mature direction, adding some depth to the one-note interchangeable characterization of the Super Friends, paving the way to the 90s DC superhero cartoon universe. The Fear is also notable for the first time that Alfred and Commissioner Gordon appeared on the long-running Super Friends series.
We now return to the Superpowers team.
In Gotham City, the Caped Crusaders spot the Scarecrow and his henchmen robbing the Gotham City Electronics Center. Scarecrow intends to steal a new microchip that will boost the power of his fear-inducing transmitters. When Batman and Robin interrupt the criminals, the Scarecrow activates one of his fear transmitters. Robin is paralyzed with his fear of heights. Batman is unaffected by the transmitter and pursues his nemesis. The Dark Knight thrashes Scarecrow's strawmen, and a recovering Robin joins his mentor in the fray. Scarecrow runs away, but Batman chases after his foe. Scarecrow realizes he can't outrun Batman. He takes a stand down a dark alley, and he decides to try another one of his fear transmitters on Batman. In a desperate attempt to evade the Caped Crusader, he stumbles and loses his transmitter.
Give it up, Scarecrow. You're coming with... This place. This place.
Despite not using his fear transmitter against Batman, something about that alley has spooked the Dark Knight. He hesitates and Scarecrow escapes. The Scarecrow begins a plan to exploit Batman's fear of that alley. Meanwhile, the Superpowers team are concerned over Batman's absence from a group meeting. Robin explains his mentor's strange behavior.
All I can tell you is he hasn't been the same since he lost Scarecrow back in a place they call Crime Alley.
To offer support to Batman, Wonder Woman visits Wayne Manor, where the policeman's ball is being held. Commissioner Gordon introduces Bruce Wayne to Professor Jonathan Crane, who's helping the police on their Scarecrow case.
Oh? What's the latest?
Not much, since Scarecrow gave Batman the slip.
Well, Batman will win in the end. After all, he is the man with no fear.
I wouldn't be so certain of that, Commissioner.
Later, in the Batcave, Batman explains to Wonder Woman and Robin why he's been feeling so out of sorts. He tells them the reason the alley was named Crime Alley. It's revealed that his parents were murdered by a mugger in that alley, which was the inciting incident that led him on his path to becoming a crime fighter.
He's got him! Mommy! Daddy! No!
The Scarecrow and his strawmen perpetrate a crime to lure the Caped Crusaders out and back into Crime Alley. And this time, with the aid of one of Scarecrow's fear transmitters, Batman's fear is amplified. Robin is captured, but not before he can radio Wonder Woman for help. She arrives just in time to stop Scarecrow from capturing Batman as well.
It'll take more than this to hold me, Scarecrow!
Batman and Wonder Woman attempt to interrogate one of Scarecrow's strawmen at police headquarters, with Commissioner Gordon and Professor Crane in attendance, in an attempt to find Robin. The professor is more interested in protecting the straw man's rights than finding the boy Wonder. While Batman leaves to search for his teen sidekick, it's revealed that Professor Crane is the Scarecrow, and he uses one of his fear transmitters on Wonder Woman, capturing her. Using Robin and Wonder Woman as bait, Scarecrow plans to use his upgraded fear transmitter on the Caped Crusader.
With this device, we don't have to bring Batman to Crime Alley. Crime Alley will come to him.
When Batman arrives on the scene to rescue his friends, the fear transmitter activates. Batman struggles as he's forced to relive his childhood trauma over and over again. With Robin and Wonder Woman in peril, Batman overcomes his greatest fear just in the nick of time. The Scarecrow tries to put the Dark Knight under the spell of his fear transmitters yet again, but Batman's got his mojo back, and he's one step ahead.
Thanks to you, I've broken through my one and only fear, Scarecrow. Or should I say, Professor Crane?
Saturday morning, especially in my house, was kind of a magical time.
Saturday morning was clearly kids ruled the dial.
Superheroes have always been part of the Saturday morning landscape, and as Batman is one of the most best-known superheroes, he was a prominent part of that.
Ulan Sewell voiced Batman for 10 years, but when Adam West was cast in the role he formerly played in live action, Sewell took on voicing the role of Professor Stein, the other half of Firestorm. Both Sewell and West are great in the role, but having Adam West voice the character he once physically embodied is kismet.
We'll just have to stay away from that alley from now on.
No, he won't. I've got to conquer my fear of that place once and for all.
This isn't the last time West would provide the voice of Batman. He reprised his role in the animated films Return of the Caped Crusader and Batman Two-Face. The direct-to-home video releases were continuations of the Batman 66 series that he starred on. Co-stars Burt Ward Robin and Julie Newmar Catwoman also reprised their respective roles. West is synonymous with the role of Batman that would become known as the Bright Knight. Robin has always been a favorite superhero of mine, and that all started with the Super Friends and the Batman 1966 television series. Casey Kasem's long tenure as the voice of Robin on the Super Friends and Burt Ward's performance as the Boy Wonder had a lasting effect on me. I began following Robin in the Batman DC comics, and I really enjoyed his hero's journey. Dick Grayson transitioning from orphan acrobat into Batman's sidekick Robin, later becoming the leader of the Teen Titans, and eventually becoming the adult superhero Nightwing. For years, Hanna-Barbera followed the dated 1970s logic that led them to continuously insert kid characters into the Super Friends, specifically created to be representations of their young audience, as if we couldn't relate otherwise. We already had Robin from the beginning. Did we really need these posers?
Holy hang-ups, Batman!
Andre Strajoka pulls double duty as the voices of both Professor Jonathan Crane, aka Scarecrow, and Bruce Wayne's trusted butler, Alfred Pennyworth.
My word!
Not only is she the voice of Wonder Woman, you may also recognize the voice of the lovely Betty Jean Ward as Betty Ross on The Incredible Hulk, Scarlet on G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, or Princess Allura from Voltron, Defender of the Universe. But her 12-year tenure as Wonder Woman on the Super Friends is absolutely iconic. Equally iconic is the Super Friends theme music composed by Hoyt Curtin. Being the fan of Dick Grayson Robin as I am, I have to point out that when the Scarecrow uses his fear transmitter on Batman and Robin for the first time, Robin freezes from his fear of heights.
Steady, Robin, is just an acrophobic illusion. Scarecrow's magnifying your fear of heights.
But anyone familiar with the history of the character knows, before Dick Grayson even met Bruce Wayne, he was an acrobat in the Flying Graysons. Any fear of heights he may have had, he clearly overcame a long time ago. Also, the episode consistently refers to Batman as the man with no fear.
And so I became Batman, the man with no fear.
Batman is also known as the Dark Knight or the Caped Crusader. I've never heard of him referred to as the man with no fear. Daredevil, however, is the man without fear. I'm surprised Matt Murdock didn't take legal action over the theft of his alter ego's slogan. It also doesn't make much sense that Robin is in the dark over why Batman is afraid of Crime Alley. Even if he wasn't privy to all the specific details of Bruce's childhood trauma, he's supposed to be a detective. Use deductive reasoning, Dick.
I never realized that was the same place.
All nitpicks aside, the fear has always been one of my favorite episodes of Superpowers. The Scarecrow was an underused villain in the series, and I think he's well utilized in this episode. Though his fear toxin from the source material is changed to fear transmitters, no doubt changed to appease children's broadcast standards, the fear transmitters are a more striking visualization than the gas used in the DC Comics. So in this case, limitation due to censorship was actually the cause of an improvement in this instance. The fear is most notable for being the first time Batman's origin was told outside the DC Comics. The murder of Bruce Wayne's parents had to be handled very carefully to get past the aforementioned children's broadcast standards. No gun is ever shown.
He's got him!
And the gunshots are covered by lightning. It's actually very well done. Once again, limitations bred creativity. The origin of Batman is also expanded upon with a montage of Bruce's training, and we're treated to an excerpt from the Bob Kane, Bill Finger DC Detective Comics.
And I studied, too, countless hours. I learned that criminals are a cowardly lot, which gave me the idea to wear a disguise that would strike fear in their hearts.
Vulnerability in pseudo-realistic terms was a rare occurrence on the series, but as mentioned, the final season, dubbed Superpowers Team, was an attempt to take the series in a slightly more mature direction, and The Fear is a great example of that statement. Batman struggling with his fear, dealing with childhood trauma, and eventually overcoming his fear with the help of his friends, and in the end to save them, is not only relatable, it's inspiring for a young audience. Batman in the DC Comics and Batman on TV were out of sync for a very long time. The 66 Batman live-action series adapted the camp approach of the 50s-era Batman comics, and the 70s Adventures of Batman cartoon series and the Super Friends cartoon of the same era followed suit. However, the Batman comics in the 70s into the 80s had returned Batman to his darker roots, depicted by creators Bob Kane and Bill Finger. So the fact that the Superpowers series was making an attempt at featuring a bit more nuanced stories more in line with the source material was a sign of the times. Just a few years later, a serious, dark, gothic live-action Batman film arrived on theater screens, and Batman became a bigger phenomenon than ever before. Though Alan Burnett's Batman pilot was never made, I'm glad his script was repurposed into a Superpowers episode. The series was all the better for it. Though a solo Batman cartoon series never came to fruition in the 80s, the 90s were just around the corner. I hope you've enjoyed this cartoon showcase. Thanks for letting your geek flags fly with Mad About Superheroes.